Welcome everybody to this session. Actually, a follow-up session on David's previous session where he started to explain how you can build your own VS Code extension. More people are getting into this nowadays, and yes, there was quite some interest and some nice questions also. So here again is David to unleash extension possibilities. And this is about interacting with other extensions. The previous one was, okay, I'm in VS Code and how can I get into changing something in the coding or helping people like he did build with his AL code actions to allow you to abstract functions, etc. So today he will open up a little bit more and just let's see if you have questions to come up with it. Let's go through the normal number of slides at the start. As you know, for those who have not been here the first time, but the others are not here the first time, are here the first time, we have your mic muted, but we are very open to questions. Use the question window. I think the control shows clearly where you can put your question. And I, Luc van Vugt, will be your moderator. So be free to come in with your questions. I will pick them up if they fit to right to the story or the part of the story that David is in at that moment, and otherwise we'll have it at the end. The recording will be placed on YouTube, probably already this evening. That's what normally happens, but yeah, every once in a while something goes a little bit different. If you're not yet subscribed to our newsletter, use this URL to subscribe to the newsletter and get in the know. Upcoming webinar, there's one left for this year. Nothing planned yet for 2021. That's something I'm going to pick up in one of the next weeks and get you informed, of course, through our website, where you always will find links to the subscribes pages for the different sessions, and yes, also in the newsletter. And if you're interested to present, or if you have a nice topic which you would like to be on the webinars, please contact us. One remaining slide before I'm going to hand off to David is to thanks for NAV. That is our sponsor and will continue to be our sponsor in 2021. That allows us to use GoToWebinar and be able to share all this information with you. So let's switch. So I'll make David presenter. Yes. So David, feel free to share your screen. And welcome once more, David. And well, we're here to listen to you, but I'm sure here also to support you. So go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Luc. Yeah, my name is David. I want to show you today how we can interact with other extensions in Visual Studio Code. And yeah, for that, first, a short introduction of myself. I'm David Feldhoff, 26 years old, and I'm working with NAV or Business Central since 2014 at GWS in Germany. And yeah, as Luc already mentioned, I'm the developer of AL code actions, and I am always happy if yeah, some guys of you have some new ideas or some suggestions, and yeah, I'm always happy to pick up and yeah, implement something. To the agenda, first I want to help you get on board. So yeah, as Luc just said, it's a second session. I won't tell everything again, but I just want to start a new VS Code extension and yeah, shortly get you on board. And after that, I want to show you how we get the API of another extension. And if we have done that, I want to show you how we provide a known API, or in other words, where can I see how or where another extension yeah, is delivering its its API so that I maybe can make a pull request or something like that, and make the API even better. And after that, I would like to highlight some features of some extension APIs from the community. That's one thing is to get a syntax tree of an AL file, and the other one is that there's an API which delivers us all objects which are currently inside the workspace, and to get some more inputs about that. And I want to show you them, and I think you can make with that some awesome extensions. Let's get started. To get started, I just create a new Visual Studio Code extension. As I mentioned in my previous session, it's pretty good documented on the Visual Studio Code documentation, and I just start the Yo code generator, and it leads just to a wizard. I say I want to make a new extension TypeScript. I give it a name, Areopa. Description, some description. I want to initialize a Git repository. I'm fine with working with NPM, with a package manager, and then the wizard just creates an extension. As I said, I just want to go briefly about the things I've done here. If it's too fast for you, just go and look the previous session, which is on the YouTube channel of Areopa. The extension is created, and as it just says here, I should change to the directory and open code inside this directory. And here is my Visual Studio Code extension. Again, in the package JSON, that's the main file for a Visual Studio Code extension. And this project comes by default with a command that's called hello world. We define it here in our package JSON. And what happens on executing the hello world file is once that our extension will activate itself. And after that, we have a file in our source folder, extension.ts for TypeScript, where we register this command that it creates an information message which just says hello world from Areopa. I'll just demonstrate it once again. If I create a new Visual Studio Code extension and want to debug it, then it just opens another Visual Studio Code file where, whoops, that was wrong, which is the extension development host. So this is a window I'm currently debugging. And as I said, now this default extension comes with a hello world command, and on clicking this one, I get an information message, hello world from Areopa. Okay, and here I just want to step in, and if we execute this hello world command, then I want to interact with other extensions. Okay, but how do we do that? How do we interact with other extensions? For that, I'm visiting the Visual Studio Code documentation. So just codevisualstudio.com is a default website from them, and there they have a site API. And under that, we find the Visual Studio Code API. And there I see that there are multiple namespaces, but today we want to focus on extensions. And there I can see that I have a function which is called get extension. Okay, and it wants to have a string, and it returns either type extension or undefined. That could be because, for example, the extension is not installed or something like that. Then I would get the undefined type, or yeah, something like that. But usually I get the extension object back and can work with that. Okay, let's do that. I am closing the extension development host so that I'm back in my development window of the extension itself. And I am in the extension TS file where I currently am saying that I display to the user hello world from Europa on click of the hello world. Okay, so let's do something more here. I want to have an extension object of type extension or undefined. That's what it says here. Oh, wait, that's what it says here. Extension or undefined. And we have a namespace in Visual Studio Code. So this Visual Studio Code namespace is just that we are seeing here under Visual Studio Code API extensions, and there we find the get extension command. Get extension. And here we just find the same documentation that it wants to have an extension ID, returns an extension object of type undefined. And here it says it wants to have the full identifier in the form of publisher.name. And we can have a look. I have a few extensions installed, namely the one I want to show you what APIs they have. And let's just start with AL Studio. The full identifier is the one that's displayed here. So Dynasys, that's the publisher, and AL Studio, that's the name of the extension itself. I will just copy it, and then I will paste it here in. Yeah. Okay, and now it's should work. Wants to have that it's of kind any. Okay. Now we can see what's happening on if we do that. Okay, I will enter a breakpoint. I don't know why exactly. Maybe just a hint. I'm here in the TypeScript file, and I just had some issues with debugging. Don't know if that's because I'm on a new virtual machine. I just set the breakpoint in the JavaScript files, as TypeScript just converts or is converted to JavaScript. And here is the same file in JavaScript. And here I will set the breakpoint. Okay, and start debugging. Okay. And maybe let me activate the screencast mode so that you see what I'm typing. Okay, and Control-Shift-P. And I execute hello world. And now my debugger jumps in and extension is called, and I see that I have an object of type extension. And I see here that it has an ID, it has an extension path, and so on and so forth. But that's not the API I'm looking for. So yeah, that's how I can get the extension, but I want to have the API. So let's stop here and look, how do we get the API? we are going back to the documentation. And here it says that we can get the API with git extension. That's what we just did. And then we can call the function or the property, whatever, exports. And with that, we will get an API. Okay. Let's make that change. I'm going back to my TypeScript object and say let API equals extension dot exports. As you see, TypeScript just enters a question mark here. That's because the object is possibly undefined. I can change that while if I say do this only if the extension object has a value. That's just done in this way. Another way would be if I do that again. If I change the question mark to an exclamation mark, then I say I know this could be undefined, but yeah, I don't care now at all, and say yeah, it will be it will have a value. I don't want to do that, encourage you to do that, but just want to show you the possibility that that's possible. Okay. I will define the object a line earlier just to avoid if the API is set here and it jumps directly to this position, then I don't see what's inside the object anymore. So as it's an out of scope, it's just the API variable would just be initialized inside this bracket. So okay, let's go ahead. I just hit F5 again to start debugging. Okay, takes too long, so I stopped it. I don't know actually why it now takes so long time to build the file. I'll just reload it. And then hit F5 again. So here we are again. Okay, I hit, sorry, just activated the screencast. I hit Control-Shift-P again, and now I execute hello world again. So we are back in our debugger. And here I see extension has a value. That's so I'm getting inside this one. And I see that I get an object back of type external API service. Okay, what's that? I just have an object where I, sorry, here. Just have an object, and it's nice to see here in the debugger which functions I have, but how could I know this in doing programming? That would be much better. So let's stop the debugging session and go back to our TypeScript file. And let's see what our IntelliSense tells us. And it says nothing. I can click Control space, but I don't have any IntelliSense help. Okay. That is because if I don't enter a type here, enter the variable declaration, it's typically, or it's by default of type any, and yeah, type any could be anything. So I want to know how does this extension of Dynastyst AL Studio, how does it define its API, and how do I know what I am getting back then? For that, to find that out, I have to know where to create an API. So I'm going back to the documentation, and here it says extension writers can provide APIs to other extensions by returning their API public service from the activate call. So we knew from the earlier session that an extension has two main functions, activate and deactivate. And if I return something in my activate function, then that's my API. So it's just demonstrated here. API, this one is a JSON object. Maybe you recognize the JSON notation. And it's returned. So I could get by the .exports function, I get the API back, and then I can call the MUL, the multiply function. And yeah, that's how it's done. So I will just go to the marketplace and search for AL Studio. That's the extension. And here I see that that's the developer's Martin Sagi, and he has provided us on his README file somewhere down here. Where was it? Here it is. External API for VS Code extension developers. And he says the complete type definitions are available on GitHub on his repository. So I will just open that. And here I am in his repository of AL Studio. And here he has a file. Here he's made a file with some declarations. I will just copy that and we'll add another source folder, file alstudio.ts. And here I want to make you aware of something I stumbled across. I want to import this file. Import, I will just everything as AL Studio from AL Studio. So that's the right syntax. But the problem is I can't get anything here again. The problem is Martin has made a module for that, and that's pretty good. But for that, I didn't know that before. The file has to end with .d.ts. And that's exactly the name that Martin has already provided here in his repository. So it's just extension .d.ts. I just copied it wrong. And with that, if that's such, I guess it stands for declaration or something like that. With that, I can import the module. From his AL Studio part. And then we see that I have his interface that he has made available to us. That he is returning us.
David, is that adding that D, is that applies in general for, let's say, your API definition? That so if you would have another extension, your extension, for example,
of course,
it would also need
of course, I could have just. It is because it's he declares a module here. If it just would be, if this declare module wouldn't be there, then I could refer to the collector item type, AL object type, and so on directly.
Okay.
So we can maybe do that once. I will just delete it and delete the last bracket. Then it would be possible with the notation I had previously. Then I would have nearly the same. But as he declared, as he has a module here, which is pretty good, then we have to name it with a D file, and then we can import this AL Studio module. Now he's complaining that this module isn't there. It has no exported member AL Studio. That's because I just deleted it here. I hit Control Z to revert that, and now he's fine again.
Clear. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, so we want to have an API of AL Studio and now we see all interfaces he is returning, and I guess the one I had was it external API service, or was it no, I have to, well, I think it was something like external API service. Yeah, that was it. That's what Martin already posted on his README file. There we said that he returns the external API service here. So, and with that, I say I'm getting an API, and then I can call, of course, as it's now just an interface that I'm referring to, I can call the functions. And for example, he has here a function which is called getObjects, and that returns in a way of collector item external. Let's objects, which is of type collector item. Collector item external, and that was an array. Then, I have the objects. Again, I will just move up the, or another way. I will just revert this this statement that I say if the extension is not set, then it just returns. So, okay. Now I will just execute it again and see what he's returning us if we call the getObjects function. Hello world. And here we are. That's possibly because maybe I was too fast. I didn't look here. He said Martin has on us, if we start the project, we have to look here in AL Studio. The AL Studio scanning workspace. And I think I was just too fast that it hasn't scanned everything yet. Now it's done. Now I will give it a second try. Hello world. Okay, and here we have it. We have 16,000 objects, and of course I can see them here, but that's a little bit tricky. I will just go to the debug view, and yeah, here we see all objects that Martin has. And there we have an object of the base application with the item type object. Microsoft is a publisher, and so on and so forth. Application system, base app again, and so on. And with that, Martin does not only have all has each objects here. So what he's doing is he's scanning all app files which are in the AL packages folder as well. Each file is scanned, and yeah, he returns all objects, so like tables, code units, pages, and so on. But he also returns events like here's something, event name. I don't know if you know the possibility of Visual Studio Code that during during debugging we can work with these objects. I can't change the file which is being debugged, but I can in the debug console I can work with the objects. And here I just say I want to filter on an object which has event name not empty, and then I see that we have 9,000 events, and there we see for example we see each event, either subscribers or publishers. We see everything, and I think that's pretty cool if you want to have a look at something. And another thing, if I would have the need to scan all files, I think it's a better suggestion just to talk to Martin. Martin is a really nice guy, so you can talk with him every time. He's really lucky to help. And just that he wardens his API, that you find your information that you need in his API, because I think it's bad if we have, let's say, 6 extensions in our community and each extension just scans the files on its own. That would slow down the performance, and the person just can say that or have to decide which extensions they want to use, as all extensions together are too slow. Okay, so that was that I showed AL Studio, that he has delivers each object. Another possibility, I think, is that that he has some functions like is workspace already scanned. So it's the thing that I didn't do. I was just too fast and didn't respect this property. And another thing is that Martin has a function get IL language API service. I haven't had to look at this, but I think, symbol catch. I don't know exactly. Just want to encourage you that you have a look at the APIs, and he has definitely some good APIs there. Another extension I would like to highlight, and that's one I am personally highly depending on, is the one of Anjay. Anjay as well, I asked him for help as my extension wasn't popular at all, and he just invited me to have a call, and we talked about 2 hours, just that he helped me getting on board. So really like the art of these 2 guys, and they really have good extensions and good APIs. I will show you the one of Anjay now. Anjay has an has a little bit a different approach. He does not have this this API which just Martens delivers us. So we have to find out another way which procedures this this extension returns us. That's I just downloaded his repository. We find it under, if I go here and click on his repository, open, I just cloned it. And inside that, we have the same extension structure we are having in our own project. So we have a package JSON with all his with all the things he's contributing to the AL extension. And he has in his extension.ts file the activate function. And as we said, everything, so that the thing that he is returning in the activate function is his API. And that's, in this point, the tools extension context. Tools extension context is of type DevTools extension context. And if we have a look at that, it's quite a huge API which he delivers us. Honestly, I don't know each point that he is delivering us. So it's quite of a work to get everything to know what he's delivering us. But one point I want to show you, which I really love, it's the tools language server client. And inside the tools language server client, he has another function, which is called SyntaxTree. This one. It's a public procedure, get full syntax tree, and it returns us a full syntax tree response. And yeah, I want to show you how to call that. I don't have an API interface or module like Martin has, but yeah, I think that's a chance to just show you how we can call such functions in a different way. I will leave it up to you if it's a better way or not. So I will close the extension development host, and I will go to our extension. So this one is definitely not of type of Martin's type. I will just return it to API, and then I will, for now I will set the type to any here again. And yeah, I know API is of type DevTools extension context. So that's the thing that we are seeing in his extension TS file. Tools extension context, that's the one that he returns. And I know that there is a variable which is called tools language server client. And there is a procedure get full syntax tree.
So in this case, David, you have to search for it. There's nothing like the definition file.
Yeah,
took from
unfortunately, yes. Yeah, but I think, yeah. I'm quite happy that Andrzej already did this one. There are not so many extension developers yet, I think. But if we look at his API, what he already did, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no judgment on it, but it's a different approach. You have to
exactly.
find your way.
Yeah, I will on debugging, I will show you that on the API you see that there's something like tools language server client, and yeah, that's how you can find it out. But yeah, the way I now searching for it, I just looked what is he returning. I see it's of type DevTools extension context. That one has a variables of tools language server client, and that one has a function get full syntax tree. And again, here we don't have IntelliSense for us, but what we see is that he wants to have 2 parameters. One of type tools get full syntax tree request object, and the other one is just a Boolean. And yeah, I don't have this object for now. Of course, I could copy paste it in my project, but I want to do that now. What I want to do is I just yeah, create a JSON object. So that's the 2 properties that this object has, or the 2 variables. And I am going back and say what was the name? That's not important how it's that it's the same name, but I think it's more clear if we can refer to it afterwards. Okay, and now I just create damn it. I just copy these 2 values. Source is of type string and path is of type string. And source is that's the file content that Anjay wants to have here. And I am just going now and taking the current active editor. So I take the window namespace of Visual Studio Code, take the active text editor here, and then I take the document. That's of type Visual Studio Code text document. I'm now hacking a little bit as I'm looking at the time, but here I have a document variable. The document variable has a procedure get text. I just showed it last time, and it has yeah, URV or UV of yeah, where I can return the FS path. So now I don't have the same object that Anjay is expecting, but in TypeScript we have kinds, but they're just there to help us developing. During one time, it could be that we just get something else, or something different back. So I just can hand over the JSON object and the parameter true that I want to have restored the parents. That was the other parameter. And if we now look back, so that's the object which we are handing now over as JSON object. This is the restore parent which we set to true. And this one is a function that is asynchronous. So we have currently we are getting back a promise, but I don't want to get back a promise. I want to have it resolved. That's why I will now edit the await command, or add the await command. So now Visual Studio Code is complaining. I will hit the quick fixes and say that I will add the async before the function here. Okay, I think that should just be enough to show you what this full syntax tree is returning to us. If it's quite fast now or too confusing, sorry for that, but I think I have to show it to you as it's so powerful. So I will execute the hello world. And here we are. Now I have a JSON object, and as you can see, it's really just like a normal object with the source and the path attribute, just the same attributes that NJ is expecting in his extension. And I am handing this object over to this procedure. And if I now hit F10, that's not good. What's happening here? Looks like something went wrong. Source path. Maybe I have to specify here. That's what I did in my demo. That it's of type source string, but I don't think that that could be the error.
But it's also referring to Dynasys. Is there still something?
Yeah, you are right.
That you refer to Marton's extension.
But this API gets the extension of Unj. So that should be fine. I will just give it another try. Maybe I just had some issues debugging. So hello world. And as you can see in JavaScript, it's now named yield. And in TypeScript, it's just await. So yeah. Okay, now I will hit F5. Okay, that went fine. And here we have an object. So what I just changed in the previous try, I just hit F10. So I made a step into. And yeah, in a yield command, it's that we are getting now then inside the internals of Visual Studio Code how we resolve the the promise, and that's a little bit technically. Okay, so now I just jumped over that with F5, and I can see what I get returned, and that's just an object of type root. Okay, let's look in the extension window. What's else inside that? That was this object variable. I have root, and the root has some child nodes. It says it's a compilation unit. It's a customer list extension. That's what it says here. It's a page extension object, customer list extension. This one has child nodes. The child nodes are object ID, an identifier name, a property list, a trigger declaration, a method declaration, and a global var section. So pretty much information. So the root is really just a tree object. And what we are having here is something I want to show you now. Anjay has as well another command, which you typically don't use if you are not an extension developer, but I use it pretty often. It's called Open Document Syntax Visualizer. And if I do that, I get a syntax tree back. And this syntax tree is not something that Anjay built by itself. Anjay is talking here with the AL language extension, with the AL language server itself. And this syntax tree is a response of the compiler of AL. So we have really a safe syntax tree. We don't have issues that we try to pass some statements on our own. That's really just the compiler of AL, and that's so powerful. And yeah, as we can see, this was our root object, the compilation unit. We have a page extension object that has an object ID, an identifier name. Here it has object reference. That again has an identifier name, property list. Then there's the trigger declaration, which again has its own child nodes with a var section, variable declaration, and so on and so forth. And that's really powerful. So we can see if you want to make some extensions on your own, we just can say if we are here and I say, okay, I trigger my command. You can say, where am I currently inside this document? You know, on executing the command, you can find out where, which position you have. And each of these objects has a property which is called full span. We can have a look at that later. And there it says in which line, or from which line to which line, and from which starting character till which ending character we are this variable section, for example, is. So this one would be, it starts in line 8, character 0, and it ends in line 10, character end of line. And with these tools, you can build whatever extension you want. And it's really cool. Just say, where am I currently inside this document? And you can, so in my extension, I have made a framework around it. I'm thinking of publishing that as well for other extension developers. But I just can say, where am I in my current document? And I see I am in a variable section, or I am in a trigger. And that's, now it's time to do something. So I think with this command, with the document syntax visualizer and the syntax tree delivered by Andrzej, you can do whatever you want. It's really powerful. Okay, I think we have 7 minutes left. Maybe we should, I don't know, Luc, do you have?
No, there are no questions on the list. Okay. I had one small question on the export. So you, when you pick up the, was it? Yeah, that one, extension export.
Yeah, it was.
What's the logic? Logic about calling this export?
That's returning us the API. So an extension has multiple functions. So for example, we can check, is this extension active at all? Or if it's not active, then we should activate it. Yeah. And if it's activated, then we can get, with the exports function, we can get the API.
Okay, that's always, let's say, opening up to the outside world what it can do for you.
Yeah, exactly. So they could name the this function as well, get API. Yeah, would be the same. So exports is just returning you the API.
Okay, clear. I don't have another question. Was clear to me, and no questions from the others, which could mean that it's also clear, or they're still sitting on a question. Yeah, there is a little bit time left, but I don't know if you have anything left on your program, David.
Not at all. I could show maybe that we have a full, what's part of the full span I just talked, so that I see you in which line, but so in which line, for example, the var section starts, the variable section starts, but yeah.
There's one remark from Martin, one of our faithful followers. Thanks for the presentation. It's advanced, and I'm very happy that there's people like you that are actually doing extensions for us, for us normal BC developers. That's true, Martin.
Where was it written?
Here, it's on the question window. So
okay.
So let's say it's a big thanks to you, David, and to people like Andre and Martin to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always happy to help, and I just can say Andrzej as well. So really nice people, and you always can have a chat with them, and it's just awesome to be a part of that.
Would you like to show that, or is it too short a time to show that last part that you mentioned?
I think I would stop presenting, and I would be it would be nice if the 10 attendees which are left in the call maybe can give some feedback or say what they want to have, if they are interested in something else, or if they are missing something to get started with extension development.
Yeah, let's. If anybody in the room still, what are you missing to get started with VS Code extensions if you want to get started? That's a question to you all. People are now thinking and maybe typing as fast as possible to get it done within a couple of minutes. If you don't, and as actually David is explicitly but also implicitly inviting you, like referring to Andre and Martin, people sharing what they know, helping others out, and that's actually what David is also doing. Feel free to ask if the recording is out there on YouTube. Go there if you have a question to put it there, or if you find your way and another way to me or David, feel free to come up with your questions. Let's close up for today then. Let me revert to my closing slide. So thanks all for being here. These are our channels. Use them. The webinars are at areopa.academy. Email to come up with questions or suggestions, whatever. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking with us. And David, once again, thank you very much. A compliment that within the circumstances you were in the last, let's say 24 or a little bit more actually hours. Thanks for standing up anyway. It was programmed, but then it's not always that easy to adjust yourself to the situation. So big compliment to you. Thank you very much. We're closing down. Thanks everybody, and keep an eye on what is next on the 15th of December or what is still to be planned in the next year. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks for being there.